Top NHS doctor, Dr. Nikki Kahani, made an outrageous attempt to stop football fans going to matches this weekend during last night's press conference.
My advice would be, if you're going to go to a stadium at the weekend, make it one where you can get your vaccine or help out to give a vaccine, rather than going to watch a match. And to that point, if you're a role model in society, please get your vaccine, because actually it's dependent on all of us to show the way right now and to make decisions that help to protect society.
Now, I imagine her scaremongering won't work, and those games that aren't postponed because of virus outbreaks will be played out in front of full houses. I hope so anyway. Of course, those fans who do defy the doom-mongering will now be forced to show a COVID pass in order to get in. A strident opponent of these dystopian medical status checks is former England and Southampton football star Matt Le Tissier, who, as well as being an expert football pundit and fan, is a passionate supporter of the Together Declaration, which strongly opposes vaccination passports of any form. And I'm delighted that Matt is joining me now. Matt, it's sort of insane, this, isn't it? Because firstly, you have them forcing you to show a vaccine passport or a negative test to go to the football. Literally, within hours of that becoming law, they start telling you you're immoral if you go to watch the game outside anyway. I mean, what is going on?
She couldn't be any more clearer in her direction, that she's basically telling you that vaccines don't work. It's what she's telling you, because otherwise, why would she not want you to go to a football match? If you're vaccinated, you've got to show your little pass to get in. So she's basically saying they don't work. And quite frankly, the coercive nature of what she was saying there, I found quite disgusting.
And it's weird, isn't it? Because what are football fans meant to do? They're going to be surrounded by lots of virtue signallers who say, if you go to the game, you're being irresponsible. I personally absolutely think they should go. Do you think they should?
Of course, I think they should go. But what I think ultimately is that everybody should be given all the information that is available to them, all the risks that are there. And once they've been given all that information, people should be left alone to make their own choices. And if you're scared, you don't go to the football match. And if you're not scared and you understand that this is a virus that is survived by the vast majority of people, and the average age of the person that is dying from this is around, the average age of how people normally live to.
Older, actually, Matt.
I know, but it's just bizarre. It's just a bizarre world we're living in. I would just like, and what I'm become passionate about is, I want people to be given every little bit of information that they can, that the government have, not just the information that's going to frighten people. Give everybody all the information and let those people make a decision. And they've got to have all the information so they can have informed consent, and then they can make a decision on whether they go to a football match, whether they get vaccinated, because at the moment, there's no informed consent. Nobody is allowed to talk about the adverse reactions that people have suffered. The deaths that have occurred after vaccination, you're not allowed to talk about that. And that, for me, is very insidious. You need to give people all the information and then let them make their own minds up. Stop giving us half-truths to scare people, because being in the NHS, that doctor would know that one of the worst things for your immune system is to be constantly frightened. And that, for me, is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, we've been living in some form of mental torture, really, in one way or another for the past 20 months. And Matt, you know I'm all about having these open discussions, but you also know how difficult it is for the media in the UK to do that because of the draconian Ofcom regulations that we have to operate under when it comes to public health. And I try to do it on this show. I know there's been a move by a lot of broadcasters to cancel you because you have been open about wanting to have this conversation regarding vaccination and vaccine passports too.
Well, it's been very concerning for me, Dan, that I'm watching the sport that I loved and I played for 17 years. And it's been very concerning to me that in all that time that I played, I never once saw any footballer leave the pitch because of heart issues. Now, I'm sorry, but if anybody can look at what's happening now in the world of sport and say it's normal for all of these people to be having heart issues in football matches, cricket matches, basketball matches, any sport you wish, these people, the amount of people that are suffering is going through the roof. And I called for an investigation because it might not be to do with the vaccines.
Yeah.
It may not be. But let's have an investigation to find out what it is. And even saying that deems you to be some kind of anti-vaxxer, which is just absolutely disgusting. I want just some information. I want people to take a look at what is happening in football, have a proper investigation, and give us some answers as to why so many sports people are suffering with heart issues. It's not difficult.
Well, look, let me read what one of the UK's leading sports cardiologists says so you can respond. This is Professor Sanjay Sharma, who works with the FA as well as a number of Premier League clubs. And he says everyone is jumping to the conclusion that it is COVID-related, or even worse, that vaccine-related myocarditis may be responsible for this spate of cardiac issues that we are seeing in football players. I can tell you now that Eriksen's arrest, referring to what happened in the Euros, was nothing to do with COVID or the vaccine, nor was Sergio Aguero's cardiac scare, nor were John Fleck's problems or Charlie's. How would you respond to that, Matt?
Okay, so that's 4 people. Does he want to talk about the hundreds of others? Or is he just saying that those 4 don't, but the others are vaccine related? Why has he not mentioned the hundreds of others that have had problems?
And all you're calling for,
then
Matt,
he would have mentioned their name.
all you're calling for is an investigation. And to me, that makes complete sense, because what you have in the Premier League is a lot of players. We know this is a fact. I think it's something like around 35% of players who do not want to get vaccinated. Now, if there was an official investigation and the findings were presented to them, as you say, in full, then maybe it would change their minds. So I actually think you're onto something.
No, absolutely. The fact that the numbers have increased so much means you should have an investigation. And you're absolutely right. If they do a proper, thorough investigation, an investigation that is done by people without conflicts of interests. And here's the other thing. If you're going to get the guy from the FA, the doctor from the FA, to come on, the cardiologist, and give his opinion, I think the one thing that needs to happen in the media is when you have people giving their opinions, these experts, I think whilst they're giving their opinion, everybody needs to know what their conflicts of interests are.
Yeah.
And that's been one of the worst things about it. The Daily Mail did a hit piece on me a couple of weeks ago, insinuating that I was an anti-vaxxer and I was putting people's lives at risk. The professor that they quoted in that interview was a guy who worked at Nottingham University. And if you look into Nottingham University's finances, you'll see that a couple of their sponsors are GlaxoSmithKline and Pfizer. And so clearly a conflict of interest there, but nobody mentions that in the article. So when people are going onto the television,
we haven't heard from the university to see what they say. But I think that is a very good point. And look, Matt, we'd love to have you back to discuss this further, because I think it's absolutely right that we've got to be open and honest about both sides of this debate, which is what I try and do on this show every night. So, Matt Le Tissier, thank you so much for coming on.